Some stories, they're just eternal, aren't they? They're like these warnings etched in time, lessons about the very heart of who we are as people. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful of all of them, a legend about genius, about a daring escape, and about the absolutely fatal price of pride. So our story kicks off on the island of Crete. It's this place of myth and raw power, and it's ruled by the truly fearsome King Minos. It's right here that our tragedy is all set to unfold. And at the center of it all, a father and his son. We've got Daedalus, a man whose mind was so brilliant he could craft actual wonders. And then there's his son, Icarus, just brimming with that fiery ambition of youth. But they're prisoners, trapped in a high tower overlooking the sea, locked away in the very labyrinth Daedalus himself designed. Talk about irony, his greatest achievement has become his own cage. Being trapped like that, well, it forces you to get creative. With the endless sea below and a king who wants you locked away forever, escape looks pretty much impossible. But for a mind like Daedalus's, impossible is just another word for a puzzle that needs solving. So his mind gets to work, piecing together a truly desperate plan. So picture this. By the flickering light of a torch, Daedalus is working away. He's gathering up every single feather dropped by the eagles circling their prison. He's melting down candles, using the wax as a kind of glue. This isn't just some clever invention. This is pure desperation. It's a father's love, literally crafting their only chance at salvation out of scraps and hope. And he does it. He finishes them. Two magnificent pairs of wings. But with this miracle comes a terrible, terrible risk. You see, this escape isn't just about whether the wings will work, it's about discipline. And this, right here, is where the real tension of the story begins to build.
These are the instructions, the all-important life or death rules. Daedalus, and you can just hear the worry in his voice, lays it all out for Icarus. They have to fly a perfect middle path, not too high, not too low. But this warning isn't just about physics, It's deeper. It's a plea for moderation, a warning against pushing things to the extreme. But while his father was talking about caution, a totally different kind of fire was burning inside Icarus. And that fire has a name: hubris. It's so much more than just pride. It's this intoxicating arrogance, this belief that the rules don't apply to you, that limits are for everybody else. And right here, this is the conflict at the very heart of the story. You've got Daedalus on one side, representing wisdom and knowing your limits as a mortal. And on the other side, you've got Icarus, the embodiment of hubris, with this burning need to just smash through every single boundary. Even before they took flight, you can see their paths were going to split, dramatically. So the moment comes. With the wings strapped on, they take a leap of faith off the cliff. The wind catches them, and for one glorious, unbelievable moment, they're free. They are the first men to ever fly. But this incredible feeling of freedom, it's going to hit the father and son very, very differently. I mean, can you even imagine that feeling? The wind rushing under your wings, the whole world shrinking down below you? For Icarus, it's not just freedom, it's power. It feels like he's transcended. His father's warnings, the rules, his own mortal limits, all of it just feels so distant, so small. He's not just a man escaping anymore. In his mind, he's basically a god. And there it is. That's the moment hubris just takes complete control. His father is yelling for him, his desperate cries just swallowed by the wind, but Icarus doesn't care. He soars higher and higher, not just flying, but pretty much throwing down a challenge to the heavens themselves. He is absolutely drunk on his own power. But here's the thing about the laws of nature, and maybe about the gods too. They don't bend just because you're arrogant. What goes up, as they say, must come down. The absolute peak of his climb is also the very beginning of his tragic and honestly inevitable fall. And the failure is just catastrophic. It happens in an instant. The sun, the very thing he was flying towards like a symbol of his own glory, becomes the weapon of his destruction. First, a single drop of melted wax. Then a feather twists out of place. And then you can just picture that look of pure horror in his eyes as he feels his incredible wings just disintegrate around him. And that's the brutal irony of this whole story, isn't it? The very things that gave him his freedom, the source of that godlike feeling, are the exact things that lead to his doom. His greatest strength becomes his most fatal weakness. The fall seems to take forever. He just tumbles out of the sky, no longer the master of the air, but just a helpless kid falling back to earth. There's a violent crash into the water, and then nothing. Just a deep, chilling silence. His ambition is gone. His body is gone. But his story? His story gets burned into the map of the world itself. The patch of sea where he fell is named the Icarian Sea, a permanent monument to his pride and to his fall. So, the escape is over. One made it, one didn't. And what's left is the aftermath, the grief, and the timeless lesson that was paid for with a young man's life. Daedalus, the wise one, flies down. His amazing invention had worked perfectly, but his crucial warning was ignored. His genius was enough to escape a prison, but it couldn't save his own son from himself. And all he finds are a few feathers floating on the water, the heartbreaking wreckage of their dream. And in that moment, all the titles, the master craftsman, the legendary inventor, they just vanish. He is brought to his knees by the most human feeling of all, loss. His brilliance is no comfort. He's just a father who has lost his son. And that brings us to the story's tough, unflinching moral. The arrogance that made Icarus feel like a god was the very thing that proved, in the most tragic way possible, that he wasn't one. That's the real poison of hubris. It doesn't just make you overconfident. It literally makes you blind. Blind to reality, blind to warnings, and blind to the very limits that exist to keep you safe. The sky, that symbol of endless possibility, it has rules. And true strength isn't about ignoring all the limits. It's about understanding them. When you fly too close to the sun, your fall isn't an accident. It's a consequence. And that really is the question this ancient myth leaves for every single one of us to think about. In our own lives, with our own ambitions to fly higher, how do we know when we're soaring with purpose and when we're just flying straight into the sun?